How important is it to actually have like good footwear in fitness?
That it's amazing to do everything barefoot.
Oh, what is fitness according to you?
The capacity to be able to apply yourself in everyday life. That's fitness for me.
And in today's busy lifestyle, people don't always get the time to kind of work out or train. So what do those people do? How can they be fit?
My basic go-to thing to tell them is just start.
What are the most common mistakes that people make usually while training? Ice baths. How are they important? Do they really work?
Different answers for men versus women. Ice baths work a lot better for men as compared to do for women.
How often should you take a massage?
As we age, especially during perimenopause, during your menopause, if I have to put it in like numbers, women lose 1/3 of their bone density between perimenopause and menopause. That's like 10 years.
Hi, Paridhi.
Hello.
And welcome to Expert Talk with Bhavya Desai.
Thank you so much for having me here.
First of all, how are you? How are you doing?
Very well.
Good?
Easy Sunday, so all good.
The first time we're actually shooting on a Sunday, by the way.
I am sorry. I would have liked to make this work in a weekday, but I'm so sorry.
So, I wanted to, before we start the conversation, of course, about fitness, I just wanted to give like our viewers a little bit of a background. One is that how we know each other. It's I have actually had like a few friends who've I've met through frisbee. And then we've kind of had them over for conversations. So of course, you and I also know each other through frisbee. So that's really great. And when I learned that, of course, that you are so good at what you do, I thought that it'll be a great conversation, because for the longest time, internally also, we were discussing that fitness is something that we should surely focus on. It's definitely a conversation, and we were really trying to figure out like who would be the right people to actually call. So you're actually the first person who's really come on the show as well, that we've invited, more in terms of fitness as well. So I'm super excited about this. And when I was doing my research and looking at your Instagram and so on, I saw that you were working out with Samantha Prabhu and all these guys as well.
Yeah.
So that looked very interesting. I mean, how's the experience?
The experience is really, really nice.
Yeah.
I think I've been sort of blessed to have people train alongside or to coach who absolutely like fitness in its entirety.
Right.
So I think that just makes that entire experience of coaching them, training along with them, a lot of fun, because they like the hard work.
Right.
Like they really enjoy what they do. So I think that experience just becomes like a lot more purposeful and fruitful when you have those sort of people around.
Okay. Interesting. So I wanted to break down the conversation in terms of general kind of fitness, to try and give people an idea that why is it important to work out.
Yeah.
Then focus on things that you should do, you should not do, like kind of mistakes that people do. And then I know that because of your background, it'll be great help if we can actually talk more towards like conditioning, especially for athletes.
Yeah.
The reason is because I think the sort of work that you do, I think it will be very important and interesting for people to learn about that. Recovery is also something which is very important, kind of recovery, diet and XYZ, those things.
Yeah.
And then it's just like kind of the flow that we will go in.
Of course.
So first up, can you just give our viewers a little bit of a background on how did you get into this? And I also sense a little bit of an accent there. So if you...
Dang it.
Yeah.
So to first get the accent part out, because
Right.
I'm going to be speaking from here on, it's just how I speak. I know
Okay.
this, my leg's been pulled a lot on
Okay.
it, but trust
Right.
me, not trying to put this up.
Right.
I feel like a lot of the content that I consumed growing up, which came really, really late in my life,
Right.
has been a little bit more towards the English speaking side. So I think it just got built into my vocabulary with music, with shows, with serials. And when I say it came, like I'm not somebody who watches a lot of movies in general.
Right.
So I think it just built up from there.
Right.
And other than that, in terms of how I picked up fitness, I've been an athlete all my life. So right from, let's say, age of 6 or 7, senior KG, junior KG, right up to my 10th grade. I've been a professional track athlete. So I've trained professionally, name any track and sport fields, I have done that. And then eventually it transferred into, because it became a way of life, just growing up. It transferred into me picking up CrossFit when I got into my graduation college, when I was studying alongside. And then as I got a chance of interning, I was like, I might as well want to try my hands at this because it's just so inherent in me.
Right.
And I enjoy doing it more than anything else.
Right.
And from there on, I decided to not do a standard 9 to 5 because I don't associate with that sort of work and actually help people be better, do better. So it's just that sense of giving for me is also so strong that it inherently just opened up this entire space for me to work in the fitness industry.
I understand. So then you pursued that, you finished your some certifications, XY.
Correct.
What certifications did you finish?
I am a CFL1, so basically CrossFit level 1 coach that applies to general fitness population as well.
Got it.
And currently I'm doing my pre and postnatal certification.
Oh,
so that just helps women during their pregnancy, in their pregnancy, postpartum recovery as well. And that's like super, super important because that fitness for women is just so different as compared to the fitness for men, and there's not enough knowledge out there for that.
Yeah, so we did a conversation with one of my friends on kind of postpartum recovery. So she's a nutritionist and now she's also become pretty really popular, very knowledgeable. And that's when I guess we also, I mean, when I say we, I felt like men essentially learned a lot about postpartum because I think before that we were never really wired like that. My mind would not even work in that direction. After that conversation, I kind of realized like the different stages and the things that women go through, and so that's why the moment you said, and that's again like a really huge audience there out there who really require that type of hair. So it's great. Okay, interesting. Okay, so that's ongoing. That's superb. Let's set the base in that respect. That why is it important for a normal, regular individual to train or do some sort of an activity?
Irrespective of men, women, anybody, any individual, as you age, strength training in general becomes really, really important. Because why would it not be important, right? When you're young, it's pretty much like a free flow, right? You have so much room to make error. You have all of it. And if you don't use those years in order to become strong, in order to develop your muscles, in order to develop your bone density, as you age, everything in your body is just going to stop supporting that, right? So if you don't have the foundation, it's only not going to be better as you age. And of course, that flows differently for men, that flows differently for women, but pretty simple. You need great bone density to be independent as you keep moving on in your life. You need muscle for literally anything and everything. And small things like if you're going to be an athlete, recovery is better if you get injured because you've spent all this time developing all those tissues, all those muscle fibers in your body, that when you try to come back from an injury, it's better, right? If, let's say, you got a grandkid and you want to roam around with them, you want to have that sort of energy, you want to have that sort of independency that, hey, I can go take him or her to the supermarket and not be dependent. I can carry my bag from the ground floor to the 5th floor if the lift goes off. All of those things come because you've trained in your life, because you've been active.
Right.
And of course, a whole host of diseases can be avoided if you take care of obesity, if you take care of just making sure that you're a healthy individual in terms of movement and in terms of nutrition throughout your life.
I understand.
So
is it necessary that can essentially only come via training, or it can also come via just having an active lifestyle instead of being a dormant lifestyle?
No, you need to train because let's say if your active lifestyle means you're in the sort of work that requires to be on your foot throughout the day, you're not really building anything in that, right? When you train, you build. You need that sort of effort on your central nervous system for a certain amount of muscle fibers to get activated, for your muscles to build. Anything building is going to require training. Like a skill is going to require practice, right? You can't keep playing a sport and be like, okay, I'm just going to become better at it. If you don't practice the skill per se.
Right.
For example, in frisbee, you got to practice your throws.
True.
It's not going to come because you just played 10 games.
Yes, true.
So you have to train.
Interesting. So it depends then also on the sort of work environment that you are in. Say, for example, if you're in a working environment where you are doing a lot more of, I wouldn't say a laborious sort of an intensive job, but something which requires you to do a lot of lifting, moving around, stuff like that, then essentially those like kind of natural things, they do tend to build your strength and body. Am I correct in this?
It would, because of the nature of the work, but then again, it's going to start collapsing after a certain point. Right. Like there's an interesting conversation that my tattoo artist and I have all the time. Right. That he keeps telling me that my neck is hurting and my back is hurting and my wrist is hurting because nobody even thinks that it requires that throughout. Right. Like my job requires me to stand a lot on my feet. But after a point, my back's going to start giving up because I didn't do anything about it. Like I have a pretty active lifestyle, but I didn't really do much with it. So yes, of course, your genetics have a role to play. Like if you've just been born in a household that, let's say, does like a lot of laboriously intensive work, your genes are going to be predisposed to that. So you've got a certain type of predisposition that when you then, let's say, train in a controlled environment, you're just going to be better off because the genes are predisposed to that. Yeah. But after a certain point, it's going to start falling off. Unless, let's say, 8 out of like 12 months, you're doing the job of picking up a log from one end and carrying it to the other end. If that's not your lifestyle, it's going to start falling off at a certain point of time.
I understand. Interesting that you say that. Actually, you mentioned about this posture and especially like shoes. How important is it to actually have like good footwear in fitness?
So, a lot of diverse theories, a lot of diverse beliefs when it comes to it. There is this huge theory, and of course, along with it, there's evidence, scientifically backed, that it's amazing to do everything bare feet.
Oh.
There are shoes right now, I'm not sure if you've seen, there are 5-fingered shoes.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
I use them. Yeah.
Correct. So why are you using them in the first place? So that you are as bare feet as you possibly could be, without, of course, having the fear of I'm going to hurt my foot if I step on a stone or something like that. But there's this huge strand of scientifically backed evidence that it's great to work out bare feet. On the other hand, you see people investing a lot of money in the top of the line running shoes because they want to shave off those 4 seconds from running those 4 milliseconds. Top of the line training gear as well. But of course, let's say if you're a tennis player, you can't just like work out or like play your match bare feet. You need to have shoes. So I really do think like, what is your goal out of that training? That sort of should determine if you need shoes in the first place and what sort of shoes you need or what sort of footwear do you need in the first place, right? If I'm going to have somebody who comes in, let's say, with prolapsed feet, with a flat foot, I'd much rather have them train bare feet because they need to develop the sort of awareness of what it is to grip, what it is to distribute their weight equally on the foot, because they constantly are just used to this. They don't really know what it is like to distribute their weight on their big toe, small toe, heel. And once they're comfortable with that, if we're going to do something in terms of a conditioning, in terms of high intensity, I'm going to, of course, get them to wear their shoes on just from a not injuring themselves point of view. But then again, if you are a really, really great runner who wants to cut off those milliseconds, you need those sort of shoes because at the end of the day, it's technology driven, it's scientifically backed, it can actually help you win something. So really depends upon what your goal is in terms of what sort of footwear do you need and if you need that in the first place.
Okay. It's interesting that you say this about flat feet as well. So I know that there are a lot of people who actually have flat feet. Can you just break it down for people to understand what is flat feet and what's not?
Yeah. So pretty simple. All of us are supposed to have an arch in our heels. So whenever if you've seen a footprint, there's like this tiny curve that's basically your arch. Because that part of your foot is not really touching the floor. Flat feet is the missing of that arch. So your foot is just going to be flat and it's going to touch the floor. That's not how mechanically our body is supposed to work. Our foot are supposed to work. It's supposed to have that slight bit of an arch that just distributes weight equally.
Right.
Because if it isn't, your knees are going to fall in, your legs are going to turn in, your hips going to be in a different position. So all of that, because your body ever rarely works as, okay, this is bad, this is just going to stay bad here. It just disrupts that entire chain.
Understand.
So then you're going to have bad knees, you're going to have a bad adductor, abductor, you're going to have a bad hip, your calf is going to hurt, your foot's going to constantly hurt. So flat feet basically does that.
Understand.
So it's important to train out of it.
Right.
And in certain cases, you can also develop a certain amount of your arch back because you've just learned to move in a way where your foot is equally distributed, your weight is equally distributed.
I was actually going to ask, so if somebody has flat feet and if they want to kind of develop an arch, how do you do that?
It depends. Now, that's a clinical thing. So it sort of has to depend upon what their specific condition is, what sort of training is required. It might not always be able to be like you're going to develop that arch, but you can stop overcompensating because of the missing of that arch.
Understand.
So that's something that all of us can, with training, do.
Okay, got it. Something came to my mind is like, what is fitness according to you as an individual?
Okay. So if I have a goal, my fitness.
No, without a goal.
Without a goal,
it's a generic question.
It's a generic thing. Okay.
What's fitness according to you?
It has to allow you to apply yourself in your everyday life. The capacity to be able to apply yourself in everyday life. That's fitness for me.
Understand. Okay.
Basic examples again. If I'm moving houses, I don't want to be huffing and puffing and end up with a bad backache. If my lift is out, I want to have the capacity to go up, like if it's 15 floors, without my knees just like buckling the next day. That's genuinely fitness for me. Okay. Like if you can't apply your strength and your power to maybe just go out and play a game of pickleball, not professionally play it, but like tomorrow your friends have decided to go do something recreational and I'm in a terrible position the next day, I'm clearly not fit. For me, having the ability to just live a healthy life, have your blood markers be good, and just like longevity, shield yourself from all possible to the extent which you can, aches and illnesses and chronic conditions.
Right.
That has to be fitness for me.
Yeah. The reason I ask that is because I want to kind of just put into perspective whether visually there are a lot of people who are like really not lean, not whatever thin, and the biggest parameter for most people in general when they see someone who's like, okay, this person is thin, fitter, this person is not thin, a little bit healthy, not fitter. So I wanted to kind of just understand that that's not true, right?
Again, it's a byproduct. How can you not have a healthy lifestyle, do everything correctly, and then not look a certain way? It's a byproduct for me. Again, it's not wrong to have those aesthetic goals. It's great because a lot of people get into fitness having an aesthetic goal.
Right.
They do everything correctly and then they eventually realize along the way what fitness is for them. So it's not bad to have a goal when you want to look a certain way or be a certain way. It's absolutely okay. I feel like there's also so much shame attached to it.
That's exactly what I'm getting.
There's so much shame attached to it that I have a lot of times people come in and be like, they will say everything that, okay, I want to be able to do this, lift heavier, do this. But also, and they're just so shameful of saying that, I'm like, this is absolutely okay. Nothing for you to tell me that, hey, I want abs. It's fine. So it's okay if you have that goal. But and you're going to do everything in your life, fix everything, sleep on time, eat on time, do whatever it is required, and you will be fit. So I think the way I would like to think of it is it's a byproduct. You do everything correctly and you are going to look a certain way and be a certain way.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that if you don't look a certain way, you're not fit. That's not the case. Like you could draw your blood reports and everything would be normal. And that's fine if you don't have like 6-pack abs and you're not looking a certain way and if you're not fitting into a certain size. I mean, it's completely okay.
Right.
You can still be a very healthy individual.
Yeah.
Because people, again, as I said, like some people are just genetically heavier. Right. You can't do much about it.
Right.
So I don't think the converse holds true. It's actually absolutely okay.
Yeah, because the reason is because I think we are wired in such a way to just think like that.
Yeah.
And it's so common, and that's what I tell a lot of people as well. And that's especially after playing so much in sports, you actually see people who are not really very thin, very fit, and visually extremely lean, but they are really good at sports. They're flexible, they're strong, they can accelerate, they're agile, which means they have to have certain level of fitness to be able to do that, and probably even more if they are like a little healthier. And I always tell them that but then again, which is why I ask, like, if that's the way people actually think, or it's just the way they are wired.
They do. They are. They're just like we're socially, so it's just so ingrained in us to think of it a certain way that we completely disregard fitness, because sometimes fitness has nothing to do with the way a person looks. And it's not. Like tomorrow, my father could be looking a certain way. I could pull off all his reports and they would be okay. And he would be able to climb 15 flights of stairs. But maybe a person who's really, really lean might actually struggle to do that. So, which is where like the entire methodology or like the mindset of those CrossFit folks come in, because they look at fitness completely differently. There are these 10 general skills. It could endurance, cardiovascular capacity, agility, strength, power, balance, coordination. It makes of these 10 whole skills. And if you can tick boxes in all of that, you're fit. Because that's pretty much how you're going to move in your life. And if you can do that, then who really cares as to how you look? Again, it's okay to care how you look, but fitness doesn't really correlate to that.
You mentioned that it's very important if you actually want to do stuff in, like, live a general life, which is your kind of concept of what fitness is. But in today's kind of a busy lifestyle, and let's be very honest, I think similar to how we are wired to think about people, unfortunately, I think since childhood, everybody, it's engraved into their head that it's a rat race. You got to succeed, you got to do this, you got to be the first one to reach here, you got to be the first one to whatever, you got to come first in class, you got to come first, what do you call in college, you got to do this, you got to do that. And in today's busy lifestyle, people don't always get the time to kind of work out or train. So what do those people do? How can they be fit?
You could, if like there's this entire conversation about like having to be able to do things at your time, at your pace, at your convenience, versus having to remove time and space for doing those things. So my basic go-to thing to tell them is just start. It does not matter, right? If you have a very set goal and you have all the time, effort, resources to do that, sure, do it. If you're struggling with making it a priority, just do it. It doesn't matter. If that means you've decided, I am just going to do mobility work for 15 minutes, start. Because then there's that entire habit formation comes in, right? Because now you've decided 15 minutes, no matter where in the day. Because I know people who are extremely busy. They might come to the studio for, let's say, 3 days in a week, but they are traveling for majority of the time. For me, for them, it's just like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And know for a matter of fact that you can do that. No matter where you are in the world, no matter how busy a person you are, you can't tell me that you have 15 minutes to scroll on your phone, but not 15 minutes to do some mobility work. Then that's a question of priority. But other than that, it doesn't matter. If you've got 15 minutes, depending upon where your skill level is, how much do you know, how much do you not know, just spend it doing something. If that means you're going to walk out of that door right now and just like do some steps, that's fine. But just start.
Do something. Okay. So let's say if you have somebody who's listening, if they have 15 minutes in a day, what are the 5 things or 5 exercises a general person can do in those 15 minutes which will really help them?
Let's say if it's like I'm taking the possibility
for home workout.
Like squat, lunge, do anything that mimics a push. So it could be a push-up, it could be like bottle presses, something like that. It could be something that mimics a pulling movement.
Right.
If you have some bands at home, works great. Do burpees. Insane. High knees, burpees, jumping jacks. There's so much to do. It could be, okay, you've got 15 minutes. You're going to do 5 squats, 10 push-ups, 15 lunges, 20 burpees. Do it for as many times as you can. Add in mountain climbers, jumping. There's just so much. Sit-ups, the plank holds, wall sits. There's so much to get started. Right? And mix and match it. So you've decided you're going to do 15 minutes of 3 movements today, to 15 minutes of 3 movements tomorrow. Third day, you're deciding I'm only just going to do like 100 squats and get done. Great. You moved. You did something. It's a compound movement.
Right.
It's going to move multiple joints, multiple muscles. It's achieving your work.
Understand.
Any compound functional movement, do it.
How do you scale that up? Like I know that in the first 15 minutes or first few days, you can't really go like.
Of course.
How do you scale that up?
Again, it's a very subjective question depending on who's in front of you. Increase that 15 minutes to 20 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe invest in a set of dumbbells at home. If you invest in a set of dumbbells, there's a whole range of exercises without a bench, without anything that opens up for you. There are those cleans, those are snatches. Get better at handstands, get better at your push-ups. These are not skills that everybody's just going to have, right? And you don't even need a lot of space to be able to get better with that. And then eventually, there are 100 different home workouts, programs that just use a set of dumbbells, just different variations, different movement paths. Because if you don't know what it is, you'll just have to, of course, take the help of somebody who does.
I understand.
So invest that time and that effort. Now look at, okay, I'm in this space where I'm moving, but now I want to do better.
Right.
Get yourself an hour. Now you have an hour. You have somebody guiding you. You have a set of dumbbells. You can become extremely fit doing that just at your home.
And how important is form in all of this?
Very, 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 very. I would put more veries if I could. Really, really important, because that's where the help of external assistance comes in. Because if you don't know what you're doing, it's not going to work the muscle that is supposed to work. You're just going to get injured, and nobody likes injury. That awareness is golden, is something that you could use throughout your life. Just small things that, hey, my knee shouldn't go in, because if it is, I'm probably not working my glute. Just that. Now think how many more movements can you apply to that? You've got 10 other things that you could apply that to. So it is absolutely important to work out with the right technique, with the right form, because you not only are more prone to injury, you're just not efficient.
Right.
So even removing those 15 minutes becomes like, if you're not efficient, you're not really helping yourself. So I cannot stress this enough. It's really important.
It makes a huge difference, because when I also now actually work out and train with a friend who's also a fitness instructor. And earlier when I used to do a lot of those workouts, I would never understand, where the pressure or the body pressure was going, because the form was, it was there, but not exactly what it's supposed to be. And then when he started telling me, okay, you know what, just correct this, just correct that. And then I was like, what? I was like, okay, this is, now I can actually feel the pressure where it's supposed to be. If you're working on your hamstrings or your whatever, calves are still easier, but certain exercises, I was like, even chest as well, for example, if it's upper, lower, I'd be like, okay, I never understand why, how the pressure would actually be there. It's also very similar with stretching as well, right? Like, for example, when you're warming up and cooling down as well, why is form important in that?
So different types of warming up and cooling down. You want to be a little bit more dynamic when you're trying to warm up. So very simple. You might want to do pigeon pulses rather than just hold a static pigeon. You want to hold a static pigeon to ease that muscle out post you've done it. So you need to mobilize your muscle to move. You need to ease your muscle out when you're done. So very different things. And I feel especially with stretching, same thing. You got to know what's working and what's not working, right? Like if it's the pigeon pose and you need to stretch out your hip, you can't be struggling with your knee because not everybody has that 90-degree angle, right? Some people are just trying to push it over, which is going to lead you to hurt something because your body is just not ready for that range, right? If it's not ready for that range, don't push it to that range. So again, it becomes really important knowing what your limitations and your capacities are and then applying it. And it eventually flows into your workout as well, because if you know your hip and your back and your hamstring doesn't have a certain range, you know your deadlift's not going to be great because you won't be able to touch it with a neutral spine, because now your hip, your hamstring just doesn't have the range.
Right.
Gives you more information that, hey, I maybe need to go easier on the load, maybe reduce the height to which I'm deadlifting to make it more easy for my back to hold up.
Right.
Because again, it doesn't work in isolation. It's an entire connective chain.
Understand. Interesting that you say this. This actually brings me to a thought. What are the most common mistakes that people make usually while training? Say if you can list down like 5 of them.
Common mistakes that people make while training. Technique and form definitely have to be one. I also feel that they need to be a little bit more attuned to what they can or cannot do.
Right, knowing your limits.
Knowing your limits. It's great to push, but know when not to push. People don't warm up. I've seen that inside the gym, on the field, everywhere. They do not warm up.
Right.
People don't activate. So warming up is one. So increasing your range of motion is one thing. Mobilizing your joints, your muscles is one thing. But you got to activate them, which means you're going to activate how your glutes are working. You got to activate how your hamstrings are working. You, in order to be able to, let's say, do a longer throw. I'm just going to take frisbee for example. You got to activate how your shoulders are going to work.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just using your forearm to do everything and your wrist to do everything, which again is important. But for a longer shot, you're just going to need that power. Power also comes from core. So activate. So I think people don't activate enough. And I think also hydration. I'm going to put that in there because I feel like people don't hydrate enough while they're working out also. Right. So just like that constant tiny sips of water, I think that's super important. People got to hydrate when they're working out.
Do these interesting new ads that you see about these liquid IVs and electrolytes and XYZ, all of these things, do these work in hydration?
I am a very simple person when it comes to these. So I feel if you really want to hydrate, water with a little bit amount of salt in it. Because regular salt, like very, very, it's like 1/16 of a teaspoon. That tiny helps absorb everything that's moving on into your body a lot better. And you're not just going to like overhydration. You're just going to keep flushing it out. So you're going to go to the loo, flush it out. Your body's going to be empty again. Right. So that salt helps absorb it better. And if you want to hydrate further, I think just like a normal grade electrolyte works. It's medically proof.
When you say electrolyte, meaning?
Normal, over-the-counter ORS.
Got it.
That's for me. I think it has everything that you need in it. It's not packed with sugar. Like a lot of these new electrolytes are just packed with a lot of sugar that your body doesn't need. It just needs salts, sodium, potassium. Put it in there, get it done. But water with salt works the best if you can make it work.
Yeah, especially when you're like cramping up and stuff like that. Just
that's great,
that's the first thing that was always told in cricket when we used to play, because after a long innings, or if you bowled a lot or if you batted a lot, the first thing you would always get was cramps. So they would just like, whenever the drinks would just come in, there would always be salt. You just take like a little bit of salt, just punch it and just have water. And it just instantly goes away.
Exactly. You're sorted with that. And one more thing is like, a lot of times when people don't sweat, they think they don't need to drink water. You still need to drink. Like you can't stop drinking water in winters because you're not sweating the same in summers. Like your body still needs it. So I think even that, when they feel like, oh, I'm feeling okay. But you still need to hydrate to keep feeling okay. So I think that. So those would be like the 5 things more or less that people miss out like a lot when it comes to training.
Right. I kind of wanted to talk about recovery a little bit later, but now this conversation has come. I just have like one more question and then I'll kind of fall back into a little bit more.
Yeah.
How important is water in general for someone who works out, or water having enough water
Mm-hmm.
for someone who works out or someone who's an athlete? Why is that important and critical?
Very, very, like, water keeps your body from cramping in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hydration in general, right? Your muscles are just not going to work the way as they're supposed to work if they're just constantly crunched up in needing of sodium and potassium throughout, right? It also is the biggest component of what makes your body correct. So how are we just not paying attention to it? And it doesn't have to be somebody who works out. It also has to be somebody who's just living their day-to-day life, right? Like, a lot of times people don't end up losing weight, for example, it's because they're dehydrated. Your muscles are going to knot up more if you're dehydrated. Your body is going to retain more water if you're dehydrated. Hence, you're going to be bloating more in general as well. So I think there's literally no reason why you shouldn't hydrate, be you're a regular person, even if you're not working out. And if you're somebody who works out, all the more, because you're constantly sweating, losing out on your salts. It's just like food, right? You're going to feed your muscles. You also, of course, to give your muscles the same amount of water as well to work.
Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about, a little extra level in terms of like kind of training. The reason is because I wanted to kind of get an idea from an athletic sort of point of view. What are the things that athletes should focus on? From that perspective. Are there different types of training that an athlete needs to do for achieving different goals? Like, for example, if it's if to improve agility, to improve endurance, to improve whatever, there is no one sort of a package sort of a thing that you can do which will really focus on all of these things?
No, because when you're an athlete, you're already super niche.
Okay.
Right? Let's say as we spoke about previously, fitness in general would mean improve everything.
Right.
You're the jack of all but the master of none. But when you've decided to be an athlete, you have to be a master of something. Right? And that something will come along as to what your sport is. If it's going to be a marathon, okay, you've got you need great amount of endurance. It's an endurance sport. You need it. So your entire season is going to be phased out in a way where, of course, strength is non-negotiable, because you can't keep running and just can't keep losing all that weight and all that muscle. And then endurance training would, of course, kick in as an entire part. If you play football, like, an endurance athlete is not going to need agility as much as probably a football player is going to need. So then that comes with its own its own host of things, right? Be it speed, be it power, be it agility, the way that you apply it. Which means the agility drills for football might not be the same for cricket, might not be the same for basketball, might not be the same for frisbee. All of it is different. So that question then entirely depends upon where you are in your season, because every sport has its peak season, and where you are in terms of your strengths and your weaknesses, and what your sport really is, and what sort of abilities and skills does it require out of you.
Okay, so let's take it like one by one. Say, for example, if you want to increase agility, and let's say if it's frisbee, right? Let's take that as the first base. What are the 5 exercises that you need to do to build your agility as a player?
Strong knees.
How do you build them?
So strong knees would require, because agility, of course, is a lot of quick work, but it's not unidirectional. It's multi-directional. It's also not, if you're defending, it's not in your hand where you're changing direction. So you need your knees, your ankles, your joints to be absolutely strong. So do things that make your knees bulletproof, right? Where if I'm going to, like, if it's stable and somebody hits force, it's not going to break just because somebody hit force. It might get damaged, depends upon also how much force has been there, but you at least have some amount of ground stability to do that. So I think a big part of agility would also be developing that multi-directional knee, ankle, joint strength. And the drills are going to be dependent upon, again, the sport. So if you're talking about frisbee, it has to be a lot of stop and start, a lot of acceleration and deceleration, a lot of reflexes, and maybe like mimicking other person. That has nothing. So if you and I had to partner up and do this, and if you're the one who's on the offensive side, if I'm the one training, your job would be to move in multiple directions, and my job would just be to follow you.
Right.
Because I don't know where you're moving, but I'm still developing that agility. And then a lot of isolated plyometric drills as well could possibly put in there. A lot of jumps, a lot of verticals. That's going to help develop a lot of speed, power, agility, plyometrics when it comes to frisbee per se.
Understand. Okay. And in general, if you just want to improve your agility, then let's break it down to like, just give me 5 exercises. General agility, say for example, if you want to improve as a sports person, doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be around frisbee or cricket or anything of that sort. Just 5.
Instead of giving you 5 exercises, I could give you do a lot of ladder work.
Okay.
Because ladder in general, you could do ins and outs, you could do side by side, you could do a bunch of stuff on ladder. And if you don't have a ladder, you can just have markings that mimic a ladder. The idea is short distance. Ladder just provides as an equipment. And a lot of cone related drills, right? And if you don't have cones, think of 4 edges or any markers, any marker related drills from point A to point B. Bring it, shuffle it up. Suicide drills, shuffles, shuttles. All of it is supposed to build your agility. And everything that builds along with it is just a byproduct of building that agility in there.
Understand. Okay, then endurance. If you want to build endurance, then what are the focus areas and exercises?
Do everything. How do I frame this? Okay, endurance as well. Are we talking about generally? Are we talking about general? The way I like to think about endurance is conditioning. If this doesn't have to be a particular sport. Okay. If this is in general, think about it as, I'm going to go like slightly more like jargonish over here. It's called metabolic conditioning. You've got 3 different energy systems broadly. The one that demands short sprint intervals. The one that is in the middle distance, let's say about like 4 to 8 minutes. And then the long, anything about like 10 minutes is pretty much aerobic.
Right.
So anaerobic and aerobic. So go really, really hard for very short time, 20 seconds, recover, go again. That's going to build a completely different conditioning base. Do things repetitively for, let's say, 10 to 12 minutes. That's going to build a completely different system.
Okay.
And then do all your traditional cardio that you say, go out on a run, walk, do a cycle for a certain amount of time. All of that builds a completely different system. If this isn't for a sport per se, a normal person is going to require all of it because all of it does a completely different amount of energy system in your body.
Understand.
So build all of it.
At what point does strength training translate into building your endurance?
Everything anaerobic that you do builds endurance. Anaerobic basically means you've got muscles that come into play when you're doing something really, really short. So let's say those are your type 2 muscle fibers. Type 1 muscle fibers is what you end up doing. They're more oxidative in nature. They require oxygen to make, to work, to control. Those are all of your long distance stuff.
Right.
Anything anaerobic will build your aerobic. That's just how our body works.
Okay.
So even let's say if you see a lot of times like marathon runners also do sprint intervals. They also do tempo runs. They also have days where they're going to do 800 into 21 repetitions. They could have done the same distance in one straight go, but the reason they are doing that is they're trying to build speed. They're trying to build power, which eventually will help them in their long distance runs as well. So you've got to train short, you've got to train hard. Anything anaerobic will build your aerobic system.
So at what point does strength training also translate into better endurance as such, if that makes sense?
So, I mean, of course, for you to be better at endurance, you have to do your long endurance work. But there's this entire concept of lactate threshold that basically allows you, so it's the acidic buildup in your muscles, right? The lactate buildup in your muscles that ends up having you to stop because everything's burning and everything's hurting. It's that burning sensation. The more you train at your lactate threshold, you end up pushing that lactate threshold up and up. So basically, you're increasing your endurance for a certain amount, a certain type of muscle fiber. But when it comes to your other types, which is like type 1 muscle fiber, you generally have to do your long threshold work, your long endurance work to be able to activate those as well. So it's okay, if I have to put it into a frisbee context. You've done a sprint, you've made a cut, you've come back, right? Now you need something for you to recover in that cut, right? But that endurance of, okay, I made a cut, I came back, I made a cut, I came back. That's your lactate threshold determining how many times can you do that.
Okay.
But you made a cut and you came back. Now everything needs to flush out for you to have all of that energy to make 100% cut again. That's your long endurance work coming into play, because it helps recycle those fibers a lot faster and help flush out your muscles a lot faster.
Okay.
So all of these are barely ever in independent play. After a time, it just turns into being a very aerobic game, but you're still making a cut. You're still sprinting. You still need that endurance to be able to do it again and again and again, and for your muscles to not tire out. So that's how it basically ends up flowing into and reconnecting into both of those things.
Okay. So say for example, if you're talking about frisbee per se, then what are the exercises that you need to do to build your endurance?
Everything. I mean, so endurance in general, because it's time on your feet, do your long runs, but do a lot of interval training as well. I think what's missing in that gap, and like I keep hearing everybody how fast they got into your 5K times, because that's a very prevalent conversation in the community that, oh, I ran my 5K in 20 minutes.
Right.
What are you going to do with that 5K in 20 minutes? How is it really applicable? I can understand from a mental fortitude point of view that you really pushed yourself. When it got harder, you kept on to it and you brought it down to 20 minutes. Great. But what am I going to do with that? Is that translating you into making continuous cuts for a 7-minute point? No. You're going to get tired.
Yes.
So if your 5K timing is not really translating into that, then what help is it? So put time on your feet. Do a 45-minute run, but do it at a heart rate that you could talk to the person you're running with. Or you could hum along a song and not get tired. Because that's important. That basically flows back into my conversation of recovering between points, of recovering in the same point. But also do interval work. Interval that requires you to go really, really hard and then take a break. Really, really hard and take a break. But that directly translates on field. If you don't have that endurance and if you don't have that stamina, then you're pretty much going to get tired by the third game. Everybody is tired by the third day. Right? Of course, you're going to be, because you're just like playing 3 games every day. So that's going to take a lot out of your system.
Right.
But then you have no recovery. People are not getting tired because you're an excellent player and you can make those cuts, but you're getting tired because you can't recover from your cuts. That's the endurance that's missing, because people don't do that part of the endurance. I never heard anybody say that I ran for 60 minutes. Not caring about time, not caring about what was your pace, how much distance did you cover. But you put 60 minutes on your feet. That's going to translate. Nobody does that. I haven't seen anybody run a 10K not for competitive time. I think that's the endurance that's missing in the community.
Understand. Okay. But from a perspective, then why is it important then in that respect to have like because generally it's believed that when you are at a very high heart rate, you tend to burn a lot more calories, you tend to build a lot more endurance?
No. I mean, endurance doesn't have to do anything with you being at a really, really high heart rate. Endurance has to do pretty much with you being able to push at a very, very low heart rate. So let's say if you're in a 130 beats per minute, but you can keep going, would you much rather not have that? From an endurance point of view, just logically thinking that being at 160, pounding your heart out and really gasping for air and not being able to do that for like 60 straight minutes. That's where you want to push your heart rate down and keep being able to run. But how are you going to do that if you don't run for that long, right? So it's always a constant battle. Like, yes, you did a 1 minute interval and your heart rate was at 160. You keep doing that and your heart rate will come down to 150 at some point of time, because now your body's adapted. That adaptation has occurred.
Understand.
Right? So you got to and you need to do that.
So that's a part which I actually wanted to ask is it true that you burn more calories? Like, for example, if you want to lose weight, then if your heart rate is really high, then you tend to burn a lot more calories. No,
that's not true. That's a myth. And that's where like this entire myth of do cardio to burn fat, to lose weight. Muscle is what gets your metabolic rate up.
Okay.
Because muscles as a unit are very tough to keep in your body. They burn more energy, they burn more expenditure. So the more lean muscle mass you have, the more strength training you do, the more you would burn. Because that muscle is so much more difficult to keep after you're done with your working out. You're not burning fat or weight while you're working out. You're creating a stress on your system. You're creating an adaptation in that system. What will that adaptation and that stress do after you're done with your workout is that matters, which is why people talk about metabolic rates, right? And as you age, because you cannot keep that much muscle in your body, your metabolic rate falls.
Right.
So no, I mean, cardio doesn't have to do a lot. It's a part of it. But if you really want to burn fat, you have to pack on muscle to be able to do that. Strength training becomes really important in being able to do that.
I understand. Right. But is it true that a lot of people who actually say that running on treadmills and things like that is not really good, neither for your knees and in general? Is that true?
In general, if you look at it from a long-term point of view, running is not good for your knees because of the cost thought of impact it creates. That's been like one driver of studies and one driver of people in population who believe that. Again, do it in tandem. It depends upon what frequency you're running it. What are you going to do with it? I mean, there are marathoners in the world who don't have a knee problem. But then there are also marathoners in the world who do have a knee problem. It really depends upon a whole host of things, depending upon how you've been training, what's the mileage, your genetics, what you've done to develop strength and keep that knee safe, your recovery. It all depends. Most of this conversation is coming from people who do nothing for their knees. They just run.
Okay.
Of course, it's going to burn out, and of course, you're going to have like problems with it. But if you're doing something to safeguard it, then you're okay.
Right. Because ideally, like people who run a lot, they say that it's better to run outdoors than to run actually on a treadmill.
I don't know. Like, I don't. It's pretty much the same mechanisms. Are you running on a Mumbai road where there is less road, more potholes?
Right.
Are you running on a flatter surface? Are you running in the grass? Are you running on a track? Really depends.
No, the reason I think like from my concept perspective, the reason why I feel that it's a little different is, which is again I could be completely wrong, but I don't prefer. I mean, I generally don't like running, but in general, even for treadmill as well or working out as well. Ideally, the reason I feel that running on a treadmill doesn't really work is because you're always trying to stay on the treadmill or catch on the treadmill. You're not really pushing yourself. When you're running outside, you actually push yourself forward. In a treadmill, you technically are not really pushing yourself forward. You're just trying to stop yourself from falling off.
Yeah. That could also be a way of looking at it, because I think on that perspective, there are these air runners that have started coming in. I don't know if you've seen one of those.
No.
So you set the pace.
Okay.
It's basically a conveyor belt, but a conveyor belt that you work and like a different shape. So it's not flat. It goes down and comes up like that. So it's pretty much a tiny dip and then up. So you're basically pushing the ground off and you're pushing the belt off and trying to make that work. So one strand of thought could also be that.
Interesting. Okay. Let's talk about recovery, because I think and especially it comes to my mind from the perspective that you're saying, like if it's a 3-day tournament, by the end of the third day, people are like, obviously, like when you get up in the morning, you're like, and when you go to play a lot of these longer tournaments, like the Worlds and even these whatever AOUGC and XYZ, whenever they're like 7-8 days, like Worlds is 10 days.
10 days, yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's gruesome. It's crazy. Like you said, after 3-4 days, you literally feel how can I even get out of the bed to go to play the match? It's that bad. Why is recovery important?
So that you could play the next day.
I mean, that's the most basic, but I want to kind of get in a little bit more into that. I have like some really focusing some questions on that, but from a general standpoint, I kind of just want to get an idea of why is recovery important for an athlete. Let's talk from an athlete perspective, someone who's playing frisbee at like really a good level, or in general, people who are really serious about it.
General athlete perspective, if your body doesn't recover, you're just going to keep not maximizing your sessions. You can't keep working on a tired body. That's just really simple. It's just the most logical thing I can say. Right? If you're hurting, what good is that next session going to do? Right. And then you put that stress and load on your body again, and you're breaking down more and you're hurting more. So you cannot constantly be in a breakdown stage.
Right.
You gotta be in a build-up stage as well, right? Because when you're working out, technically you're just breaking down your muscles to be able to build back up again.
Right.
If you're constantly breaking down, what is building up back up exactly? So that's where all your food and sleep and nutrition and recovery comes in, because you need to start emphasizing on building things back up again so that you can go break it down again. You just cannot constantly be in a breakdown stage.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not going to become fitter. You're just going to keep harming yourself. So be it tournaments, be it like every day, that's where the recovery piece starts coming in to be able to help the building up process.
At what point then do you think supplements help in this?
You got to fix your basics.
Like?
If you are not sleeping well.
Okay.
If your life is full of stress triggers and stress factors, so you're constantly in that elevated cortisol, and if you're not eating general things, you're not following good lifestyle, then supplements are just a waste. It's supplement. It's not supposed to replace. It's literally called supplements, and I don't think anybody ever thinks of it that way. It's supposed to supplement what you do.
Right.
It's not supposed to replace anything.
Got it.
So you gotta fix your sleep. You gotta fix your food. You need to look at your lifestyle and then think about supplementing.
Okay.
Because now you've done everything correctly.
Right.
There's still this hole that needs to be filled. And that's when you're using supplements to fill that up. But you cannot do everything. Like, you can't be sleeping at 2 a.m., waking up at 10 a.m. and like not caring about having food or enough protein in your food or leafy greeny vegetables. You're in a high stress job where you don't really have the means to combat it, to feel okay. But then, hey, a protein shake is super important.
Right.
I mean, you can't be working like that. That just doesn't make sense.
But say, for example, it's interesting that you mentioned this. Say, for example, if it's a protein shake. Now, most people actually take like a protein shake for recovery or recovering your muscles post a workout, because they say that, that's very important. The recovery is kind of faster. You need to put that much protein back for the muscles to build again as well. So even if you're not doing that, then essentially, or if you're not working out in that respect, then that does not help.
Does a protein shake not help, or if you're not working out, then taking it doesn't help?
Does a protein shake not help in general?
Of course it does.
Okay.
It does.
Right.
But that's like a immediate fix. Correct?
Okay.
Fine, you did that. You had a protein shake after you worked out. Again, I'm not against supplements. I mean, if it helps, great. But then you cannot be like, okay, then I can eat whatever I want. That's the thought process. Because I've taken my protein shake, because I'm
fulfilling the requirement.
It's not. How are you? You can't just have protein for that one thing and then let your entire day not account for anything. You gotta have protein in your meals as well. You gotta have protein in your breakfast, your dinner, your lunch, tiny snacks that you're having. You need to do all of those. Because that 25 grams of protein is going to do nothing if all of that is just like not taken care of. So it can't be a fix. It needs to be helpful because you're doing everything right. and now it needs to be an added on thing. That's where I'm coming from.
Understand. And does it help in recovery as well?
Of course, protein helps in recovery, not a protein shake.
Right.
Protein shake fulfills the requirements of protein.
Right.
Protein helps in recovery.
Understand. And how important is it for an athlete to recover faster to kind of prevent injury?
Injury has to do with like a long-term thing, right? Like you need to build the blocks every single day to prevent injury. It's not that you did bad on one day and you're going to get injured the next day. It's because you're constantly lacking something is when you're going to get injured. For example, you've constantly had poor sleep. You go into the weight room tomorrow, you're not focused. You're not thinking. You're not paying attention to smaller details because you're not sharp. That's when injuries occur. But nobody even thinks about that. That, my God, I've been having poor sleep every single day. My brain is not really functioning the way it is supposed to function. Maybe my oxygen consumption to the brain is suffering, to my body is suffering, which is why I got injured maybe in the 10th week. It's not going to happen that you lapse on one day and you're going to get injured tomorrow. Injuries can also be very one-off. They have like, not to say you've been doing everything correctly and you can still get injured tomorrow for some XYZ reason, which you don't know.
Right.
But it's like a prolonged not doing of something that then culminates into you getting injured.
Okay. Let's break it down like for people in general. Say, for example, what are the 3 or 4 key things that an individual should do to avoid injury?
A, strength train. Make everything bulletproof so you're not getting injured per se. B, if this is from a sport point of view, recreate scenarios in controlled environments that you can reapply outside. So drills, let's say for example, that mimic agility. So your body is used to moving in that direction.
Right.
It's not completely new for your joints to go from this plane to that plane. So recreate those so that you can train those patterns in your everyday life. So you should recreate things in controlled environment so that you can apply them muscle memory wise just on field without even having to think for it, because your body is used to it. It can apply it. Eat well. Take care of your nutritional requirements, and sleep well. Your body builds itself when you sleep. You got to sleep. Like, it's really, really underrated, but it's beautiful what sleep can do. So you gotta really, really sleep well.
You're saying that eat well. In today's day and age, I think most of the stuff that we eat is like so processed, it's like so overcooked and stuff like that. Can you even get like that value out of food?
You can. And when I say that you can, that doesn't mean, like, I understand all of us have really busy lifestyles. A lot of us order takeouts, not because we love to, but because that's what we can do.
Right.
And that's fine. It's about making smarter choices. Are you taking out McDonald's, or are you taking out leafy greens plus a portion of protein? You've got the idea to do both, right? If you're going to order that. Make that smarter choice. Have breakfast in the morning. Be it as simple, like break it down, have some carbs, some fats, some protein. Have it in the morning. That will just take care of the fact that you're not overeating when it's lunch because you skipped a meal. So I think it's viable, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, to make those smarter choices. And as often as you can, cook at home. Do that. It could be difficult, but it's not more that difficult in order to find out recipes that are like easier to make, faster to make. Bunch cook. A lot of athletes around the world cook in bulk. They will cook their proteins out. Of course, now this is a little subjective to India because of the climate that we are in. It tends to go stale really fast.
Right.
A lot of athletes like cook in bulk. They will cook their, let's say, baked potatoes in bulk. They will cook their protein in bulk and they will keep it. And they'll just keep cooking rice every day. Just makes that thing so much easier. But again, I understand it could be tough given the time constraints that you have. But there are always possibilities to make smarter choices. You have to actively look for it.
what is the level of sacrifice that you have to do and discipline that you have to be a top level athlete?
A lot.
Like say for example, a Virat Kohli.
A lot. Right? A lot. I think taking, okay, there's two ways, right? Taking an established athlete, it's their job. They have to do it. They have all the resources in the world to do it.
Right.
And right now, if at that point of time, if you're not doing it, then there's something just not working correctly. But in order to be a really good athlete, a professional athlete, you make a lot of choices. And I think I can speak for myself. If you enjoy doing what you do, those are choices, those are not sacrifices. I am choosing to sleep at 9:30 because I don't want to be groggy at 4:30 in the morning. Those are active lifestyle choices that you make because you want to be the absolute best. And that's just that's the only way, and they know it and they keep choosing it. But of course, it also comes with a lot of fatigue because you're missing out on like a lot of things in life that you would otherwise want to do.
Right.
But then you're making an active choice.
Right. Right. How important is discipline in all of these things as well?
It's something that you can build, but it's really important because motivation is damn overrated. Like, I don't remember the last time I was motivated to work out. I was not.
Really?
After 9 hours of coaching and being on your feet, I want to sit.
Yeah, you want to relax.
Yeah, I don't want to put another 90 minutes in really, really hard workouts. It's going to pretty much make me question everything.
Right.
So it's important. It's something that you build along the way. Because after a point, like, everything's just going to falter. Like, nobody, I would wake up at 6 o'clock if I could. And if I would, it would be great.
Right.
But but there's that certain discipline that you have to build over time, and it's a muscle. And that's where making the choice comes into play, and it's not easy. Like, it's not easy at all. But if you don't have discipline, it's going to become really tough. If you keep relying on motivation, because motivation sometimes is just so external, right? Like, your internal motivation is going to be like, I'm super tired after at some point, I want to stop.
Right.
But then you have people you're accountable to sometimes that help you push out of that.
Right.
Because doing all of it alone becomes tough. That's when you put people into accountability. That's why you have training partners, because when you don't want to turn up, somebody else is going to push you to do that. But discipline is like just damn important.
Does it also translate, like working out discipline, does also it translate into other things in life?
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like a gym is a great analogy of life in general.
Okay.
A lot of times who you are in the gym sort of just equally translates into who you are outside. Because if you don't like doing really, really hard things and being uncomfortable, you're not going to like that in your life either. You're just not that personality. It's a space where people are at their most vulnerable. So you really, truly see them for who they are and how they show up. If you had a really shitty work day, but you showed up, that is going to translate and tell something about you outside. Because if you're going to have a really bad day, you're still going to show up for your people. Because you have the ability to show up. So I think a gym is a great example of who you could be outside as well.
From a recovery point of view, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about certain things and whether they're good or not. Now, like for example, this new fad about like the whole ice baths. How are they important? Do they really work? And what is the concept actually of the ice bath?
So different answers for men versus women. Ice baths work a lot better for men as compared to do for women. Women respond a lot better to heat because the way our bodies are made.
Right.
So let's say putting a body into that extreme shock as women might not work the best for us. It more or less will put like a body into fight or flight rather than actually easing out and letting the blood flow become a lot better. So ice baths are okay, but not like extreme temperatures. So let's say if 7 or 8 degrees of water works for men a lot better, we would be great at 14 degrees, which is cold, but it's not like body shocking cold.
Right.
Saunas work a lot better for women comparatively.
Hmm.
But what works best, I think, for both men and women is like deep tissue massages, because that sort of manual release really helps your muscles feel better, the knots ease out. So that works 100%. And then I feel ice bath and saunas come into the picture. But again, those are like the top tier of the pyramids.
Right.
They're not the bottom tiers of the pyramids.
Right.
Sleep and nutrition would work the best. And
Right.
then you add these on top to even become better. So from like a very athletic point of view, yes, they give you that 5%, that 10% that you need as an athlete to become better.
Right. How often should you take a massage? Someone who's like playing sports regularly, working out regularly, how often should you take it?
I think, again, depends upon like the amount of working out and sporting that you're doing. Once a month is what's recommended. That's given that you do your warm up, your cool downs, your mobility work, all of it along the way. But once a month is what the recommended thing is.
And do they help a lot?
They do help. They have their own place in terms of making your muscles feel better, for you to not have huge knots that then overcompensate for, again, a lot of lactate flushes out. So all of that, yes, it adds up and it helps you make you feel better 100%. Like it's an actual thing. It's a science-based fact thing. So yes.
Right. It's interesting you mentioned about like men and women, how it works differently. Is strength training and lifting weights also important for women as well?
Absolutely so. Like 100%. Because we as a society and culturally are not predisposed to that. Like there are very small nuances, right, before me speaking about how important it is.
Right.
Like even when somebody's introduced to the gym, a woman walks in, they show them the cardio section first before they show them the weight section. A man walks in, you're going to show them the weight section first and then move on to the cardio section. Like that's how endemic it is for us. But for women, it's really, really important. And it's important through different stages in their life. For men, it's pretty much linear when it comes to how they can strength train and what they can do. But for women, it's very, very, very different. It's also because of the hormone composition that we have versus men have, right? In the early stages, super important to build that lean muscle mass because we have the estrogen in us to be able to do that, right? As we age, especially during perimenopause, during your menopause, if I have to put it in like numbers, women lose 1/3 of their bone density between perimenopause and menopause. That's like 10 years.
Wow.
And if you haven't built up enough lean muscle mass, enough bone density before that, that's not going to serve in good stead. And we are also more likely to get osteoporosis, anything bone related. We're also prone to more injuries. I'm not sure if you've seen that recent study that FIFA did for ACL, where ACL in women is a lot more in football in number of ACL in men.
Oh, okay. I didn't know this.
Yeah. So it's because of the muscle laxity that we have. It's because of the ligament laxity that we have, the bone density that we have. We're predisposed to injury a lot more because we don't have the same amount of testosterone as men do. So that entire composition changes for women. And all the more in old age, you cannot. It's like next to impossible and very, very tough to put on lean muscle mass. So if you haven't done that from the get-go, training also changes as how you age. So it's extremely important and differs what sort of training that you have to do at different points of time in your life.
What is the ideal age that women should start training?
They start training like really early on, as soon as they hit their teens. And in general, people should strength train right from start. So when I say strength train, it doesn't have to always come with an external load. Let's say if people are super skeptical about it, you squat, you bend and you pick up. You do that all your life, even so more as a kid. So there are programs across universities abroad where children in, let's say, when they hit 9 or 10, that's also the prime age that they're playing sport. They start introducing themselves to elements of strength training. with actually loading them under really controlled environments with the people looking at their form, at their technique, all fit. And that really has nothing then to do if you're going to grow tall or if you're not going to grow tall.
Right.
That's all a myth. But they do start introducing themselves to unilateral movements, single leg work, single arm work, bilateral movements, compound movements, all of it. So you're actually good to go as long as you have a supervised person looking at you, seeing
Right.
if you're becoming better.
But do you think that mindset of people has changed a lot, especially when it comes to like being a little bit more muscular, when it comes to like a women's frame in India as such? I mean, I think we are not used to.
Yeah, but here's what. It's so difficult as a woman to put on muscle. Ask me. I am trying and trying and trying.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. So, because the story is like you have to look a certain way, you have to be petite, you can't be doing this, you can't be doing that. You're already discouraging women to get into the weight room first.
Right.
Without them having the knowledge that for them to be able to put on that muscle, they have to do a lot of things right in their life and pay attention to a lot of things. It's just not going to happen like in 2 weeks and you've got your shoulders popping out.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And that image is started to change a little, but in only societies and circles who have that education and have that awareness, not at large. And when I say only a little, I think it's the last decade. It's not even like, oh, it's been years and then people have been talking about it. It's only now acceptable to be strong, to look strong. But then even when you're looking strong, oh, that's a little too much of a bicep there. I don't think you want to look that strong. I'm just like, it's crazy how people, how your relatives, how everybody will talk without even knowing how important it is to have just that little bit amount of muscle that you really, really need.
Especially in the long run.
Especially in the long run, ever so more in the long run.
What is your fondest memory of working out? Like if you think, when I ask this question, what comes to your mind?
I think every time I've been surrounded by like-minded individuals, be they friends or be they not friends, just having the capacity to move. As somebody who's been injured so many times, having that capacity to move along with a bunch of people who really enjoy that, it's always been a memory. And it doesn't matter where I am. It just makes me so inherently happy to be able to do that and to see people enjoy doing that.
Right.
If there's great music playing, people are actually vibing to that music and working out, and be doing so as a class, not as individuals, but as a group of people who truly and genuinely enjoy doing that. I think I love it every single time.
I want to also ask actually a little bit about how is this, how's fitness as a career, because traditionally you always, like, it has always been a male dominated
industry.
Yeah. And then now obviously you see a lot of whatever really good, strong women also get into it, like yourself as well, and then be successful at that. Is it still a long way, or?
I think it still is a long way, especially in the Indian society. Because of the way the entire industry is looked at in the first place, right? You see, it's a very nuanced difference. You see trainers, you don't see coaches. You don't understand what these people are bringing on board. So you don't see value for the money. You are okay going out and having like a dinner which is worth a couple of thousands, but you're not okay spending 1/10 of that money in your health. So I think that industry in general right now is learning that yes, there's value for money in investing in your health in the first place.
Right.
Secondly, it's also how that industry is sort of grown to be, where even if there are people on the floor, they don't really care. And that's the sort of mindset that there is now, to change it to, okay, this person actually really cares.
Right.
How I move, how I'm showing up, if I'm showing up, how I'm feeling, and they're actually there to take care of you. So I think that mindset right now is again changing a little bit. And a lot of times, the way people see you as coaches is just like, so what? Like, what is it that you're adding to my life? Right? And especially so being a woman, because I did have, and everybody does have to fight for their space, have to do that, because it's so socially ingrained in your brain that if I and somebody else is standing on the floor, at least that used to happen like 3 years ago, they're not going to come ask me. You're going to go ask the other person just because he's a man standing there. To have to fight, to have to prove, all of that is still really prevalent in the industry. But there's also this beautiful side of the industry where you meet, again, like-minded coaches, like-minded trainers who look at you because of what knowledge you have and value you can add. In being able to meet those people, I think it's amazing. Because there are people out there who care, see the value that you hold, and it doesn't matter who you are and where you come from. And that's amazing. And I'm generally just like blessed. I have so much gratitude for it because I am surrounded by these people. So it's amazing if you can sort of meet those people.
Right. Interesting. How I noticed that obviously you are ambassador for a couple of whatever interesting brands.
Yeah.
How does one who's in this industry get kind of noticed by those brands? If you're like, say for example, I'm trying to ask this from a career perspective for someone who's really wanting to pursue this as a full-time thing, and then over a period of, these are obviously avenues which you can surely explore. So how does one get noticed by a brand to do something with them?
So I started working with these brands, of course, like a couple of years ago. And for me, I reached out to them because I thought I would really work well with them, and it would be great to have them and have their support. But I also feel there's this space where brands need to look like a little bit more from a personality point of view, as compared to an achievement point of view. And which is why I've absolutely loved working with the brands that I've worked with, because that's the way they think. They think who you are, what your values are, and that's what you bring to the table, not what your achievements are. So I feel in India right now, at least, a lot of brands are driven by achievements. So it sort of becomes a little difficult unless you have a decent amount of social presence, then it becomes easier. But just relying on that from a career point of view, I don't think is a great idea. Rather than just like building up your profile a lot more in terms of your education would be great.
But is it easy to like connect with these sort of brands and then kind of have them support you or like start working with them?
Yes, it is. Yeah, the means to reach is very easy because these are not really thick organizations, they're lean organizations. So it's just always easier to reach to them. And at least put your part of the equation out there. So yeah, I don't think like you need contacts to reach to like these brands or any brands per se. You have their Instagram handle, their email IDs are out there. I mean, go for it.
Interesting. Okay. If someone really wants to get into this and pursue this as a full-time thing, then what are the steps that they need to take to reach there? Like, are there like certifications that they need to start with? Can you just break that down for us so that we can understand the journey?
Yeah, for sure. There are a bunch of certifications out there, of course, bodies that are accredited around the world. So having to get your certification from an accredited body always helps because it's recognized globally. So NASM, CSCS, all of them are like great courses to have. So ACSM, so all of these organizations provide a lot of certifications. CrossFit has its own branch of certification. So depending upon what you are interested in, you could pick whatever certification it is that you want to pursue. And it, of course, always goes super niche into, let's say, for example, me doing right now a pre and postnatal course. If there's a sort of niche you want to work with, there are great bodies out there to be doing that as well. The second thing I think which is a lot more important is to get on ground time. So find people and organizations and studios that you relate with, that your coaching philosophy relates with, and work with them. Because when you see things happening and unfolding on the floor, it's a lot different as compared to what you would read. And that's golden. That's the sort of knowledge, on ground knowledge that you need. And I think studios and places right now are a lot more open to having people come and just experience the space, shadow people who are working, be able to just lead warm-ups and be leading cool downs, be a part of that organization, be a part of that space, be a part of the floor. I learned it like that. I interned for a year.
Wow.
I shadowed for a year just to learn how things were. And then I went and I got my certification. Because I feel a lot of times people are making career switches. You rarely ever meet somebody who's just taken this from the get-go. Right? And they're always skeptical that do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Working out and coaching are two separate things. Give it a go first. Intern first. Get a feel of, is it really for you? Can you make that time availability, that mental availability, that emotional availability for the people in front of you? And if not, don't. Right? Because as we said, the industry gets tough. And if you don't have a why, if you're not working with people that you truly enjoy working with, if your philosophy is not in the right space, you're going to have a tough time. So I feel certification, of course, is one big chunk because it gives you the formal knowledge that you need. But interning and getting that experience is an extremely important chunk as well that a lot of people just completely miss out on.
Right. Okay, awesome. Any parting thoughts?
Any parting thoughts? No, I feel like this conversation was so nice because there were so many things that we covered and so many things that we spoke about. And it was just great. Yeah, thank you.
Why? In one line, what would you like to tell people who should get off their asses and start working out?
Just do it because it's gonna come bite you if you don't. It will at some point of time. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be too much. Just go out there and just do something. It's just really, really important.
Great. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Really good conversation.
Likewise.